Today, we're talking about what would I do if I had to start a clinic in 2025, brand new, just getting out into the entrepreneurial world. What would I do? Things have changed a little bit, but not too much from when I started my first clinic over 10 years ago in 2014. But let's get tactical. We'll get kind of scrappy with this. And I'm going to assume you have no money. Like very little money, like I did whenever I started my business. Because if you have a bunch of money, that would change how we would do this, or access to a bunch of money, it would change it. But I'm assuming you have pretty much nothing, and if anything, you have a negative net worth because the average physical therapist comes out with about $150,000 in student debt. So, what would I do if I was to start a cash-based clinic in 2025? So, number one, I would get a job doing something I don't really like to do, that has pretty flexible hours, that doesn't conflict with my ability to start my clinic. This could be working in a hospital setting. This could be PRN work. This could be home health work. This could be something that is not a standard ortho sports medicine outpatient clinic like many people work in. Because here's the problem with that. If you're going to try to build a clinic on your own, there's some conflicts associated with it. Number one, if you're at a traditional ortho clinic, your hours are set, most of the day you're going to be there Monday through Friday. Whereas if you work for a home health organization or you work in a hospital setting, you might be able to work weekends, work PRN hours, and you might actually be able to get a lot more done when you're getting paid more for a shorter period of time, and maybe have a bit more flexibility of what you're doing versus this set duration of time where you're going to be in the clinic. So these are better jobs to have if your goal is to not be there for a career. The other thing is, the less you like this job, the more motivated you're going to be to actually get your clinic to be successful, right? So this is something to keep in mind. The other big conflict with an in-network traditional job is you might have some conflicts with the patients that are coming through there, and if your employer finds out about that, they might not like it so much and just let you go. We've seen this actually on many different occasions where people have traditional in-network jobs. Their employer finds out that they're starting something on the side, and they just fire them. That is what it is. It's normal for that to occur. So look for something that you can do that's going to be a better hourly rate for you. You might not love it. Maybe you didn't go to school or do home health, but you know what? In the transition, if you're trying to establish your cash-based clinic in 2025, this is going to be the best side hustle for you. Think of your home health or PRN job as your side hustle and your clinic as your full-time job. But it's going to give you more money per hour. It's going to give you more flexibility, and it's going to give you no conflicts whatsoever with the patients that you may have that you're trying to see in whatever your niche is. So that's number one. Establish some amount of income from something that you can do that isn't a full-time in-network or a full-time outpatient clinic job. Okay. Number two, establish which niche you're trying to dominate, which niche you're trying to be a part of. And the best way for people to do this is to really think to themselves, what community are you already a part of? What community do you enjoy working with? What community do you look forward to spending time with outside of work? And we'll take an example of being a runner. Okay, so let's say that you like to run. You like to run, 10Ks and half marathons and marathons or whatever you're into, right? You like to run. You're part of the running community. You know what running shoes, people like. You look like a runner. You have all the runner, swag. You understand the terminology, the verbiage. You like to go to running groups at your local running store. You do 5K runs that finish at a brewery, and you like that stuff for fun. You're a runner. It's what you like to do, right? If you're a part of a community of active people, that's the first and best place to start. The big mistake that people make is they say to themselves, I think runners are a good option for a cash-based clinic. I'm going to try to target runners. But they don't actually like to run themselves, right? Maybe they like to play basketball. Maybe they like to Olympic lift. Well, this is not going to transfer as well if it's not something that you're actually passionate about, right? Not something that you're a part of as far as your community is concerned and the niche that you enjoy working with. So think about which niche you already enjoy working with and if it coincides with a clinic or a niche that's big enough to build a clinic around, awesome. And running, as an example, totally is. Okay, so get involved in that community, be a part of that community, and that is one of the most important things you can do as you're working in this job you don't really like. Be a part of a local community of people that you would like to help. And if you can start doing this before you even make the transition, even better, because the amount of time that you spend in a niche, in a community, is going to help you significantly in terms of those people want to see you be successful. Okay, so start to be a part of a community. Number 3, get yourself a cheap sublease space. Find yourself a space that is, that is cheap, that you can afford, with minimal to no patients that are coming in, where you can treat somebody without having to put a bunch of money out. This could be on a per session basis. This could be on a flat subleased rent standpoint, but something that you're not going to want to be locked into for very long. This could be month to month. This could be 1 year that you have this sublease space. It doesn't have to look awesome. And in fact, it'll make your story cooler if you have a shitty space to start with and then you grow into something else, okay? So don't worry about what it looks like so much. Just make sure it's a place where you can work with somebody. If I was trying to break into the running niche in this example, I would see if I could find a unused office in a running store, or maybe it's like a group of running coaches or something like that I could, like, per session, hey, if I see somebody, can I pay you like $20 every time I use this office, kind of thing. I would try to start there. Try to look for something that is going to be in an area where your target audience is going to be, that's part of your niche. Okay, so find really, really cheap, office space, and just get yourself a little table off of Costco. You don't need a ton of equipment. You just your hands, your knowledge, your phone to send people homework exercises, stuff like that. And that's it. Be a part of a community. Try to build inroads within that community, and get yourself some cheap space, ideally around that community as well, if you can do it. The next thing would be to, as you build these relationships, start to become an educator of people in this community. This could be something like, let's say that your running group has a Facebook group, and people that have questions about things, you can be really helpful in public. If they're having questions about why their foot hurts, you can give them, helpful articles and exercises to do. You can put things in there as well where you can be a subject matter expert on injury prevention and performance for these things, because this is what you do. And in that group, you can become a thought leader and somebody that's seen as an expert in your field. And then ultimately, people will message you about, oh, hey, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? That leads into you then having somebody that can come in and be seen by you in person and potentially become a visit, right? So being very helpful in your community is really, really important. Being able to actually teach these people how to take care of themselves, how to actually improve their health is really, really helpful to them, and then builds a lot of reciprocity for you on the backside of that as well. The next thing would be to try to establish some ability to teach in person at these congregation points. So this might be running clubs. This might be at gyms that focus on strength training for runners. This might be at running stores, but teaching something that's beneficial to your community is so powerful, even to this day, right? Like if you have pretty much zero money to market digitally, then you got to get in person at congregation points with people, and then you can get kind of scrappy on social media, and we'll talk about that in a second too. But getting in person, even if it's just like a couple people, it's so powerful. People remember that. And if you can empower them with things that are going to help them, be a part of the sport that they enjoy, like that's really, really important. And it's something that is very impactful. So for you to get in front of as many people in your niche and help as many people as your niche as possible, show them what you know, show them how much you enjoy the niche, show them that you can be helpful. This is going to not only leave a lasting impression on them, but increase the likelihood that they tell their friends and family about you. And I can't tell you how many people I've seen that were referred to me by somebody that came to a workshop that I taught that I never actually saw as a patient. But they were so impressed with what I had helped them with, what I had talked about, how I had explained it, whatever it was, that they told their brother, their coworker, their whatever, that they should come and see me, even though they'd never actually seen me themselves, right? This is the compounding effect of the in-person side of things that we can do. And again, it's very meaningful. It leaves a long, lasting impression on people, and it can transfer over to others. So it's very much like a dividend that pays itself out from the people that you see in person, that then get shared with other people that can turn into referrals, even if they don't come and see you as a patient. Let's talk about social media for a second, because if we're going, to try to find new people, We can do it in person. We can do it digitally. We've talked about Facebook. We've talked about how there can be Facebook groups for running groups in this niche example, for instance. Well, let's talk about Instagram, because Instagram is probably the most user-friendly social media application that we see people using that are of our target demographic, right? So most people are going to work with slightly, older population. I wouldn't say old by any means, but not necessarily, young kids, people that are like maybe in their early 20s. If you're working with runners, a lot of them are probably going to be 30 to kind of 50, maybe a little older than that. They're probably engaging with people on social media. A lot of it's Instagram. They are, paying attention to things there. And for you, this is a place where you can start to share your thoughts on the niche. So things that you're teaching people. So maybe this is exercises that you teach, you post. Maybe this is you curate information based on articles you've read that you then share share on your platform. But it's also about engagement. So looking in your area to see who are the micro influencers in the running niche in your area, and being very engaging with them. So liking their posts, sharing their posts, commenting on things, connecting other people with things that they have going on, like building rapport with somebody digitally. A lot of it is about making sure that you're like giving, and not asking for a lot of stuff in return. Because when you're just getting started, you got to keep in mind, people that are somewhat influential, they get people asking them for stuff constantly. And if you can be on the other side of that and be patient and just give a lot of value to them, eventually that's going to come back to you in a really positive way, right? So engaging with those people, seeing who follow those people, and then being able to follow them, being able to comment on their information, see, if people are in the running niche that you can start to build some digital rapport with. This is guerrilla marketing digitally. They can be kind of time intensive. But if you're just getting started, you need to be trying to find 5 to 10 new people a month in order for you to be able to go full time relatively quickly. Like if you can get to 5 people a month, the first couple months that you're starting your clinic, that's a good place to start for a side hustle. If you can get to 10, and you can do a good job of building, building out your sales process and selling plans of care, you can go full time into your own clinic relatively fast. Like if you can get to 10 new patients and you have a sales process that's going to convert at 70%, and the average person plan of care is worth $2,000, like that puts you in a range where you're somewhere between $10,000 and $15,000 a month in revenue. And if you can do that, you should be able to leave any part-time job that you have at a home health clinic or doing PRN, right? Like that is what we're talking about in terms of, being able to actually go full time. And for a lot of people, it's a lot less than that. And, being able to be scrappy digitally on Instagram in particular, and within these Facebook groups of curated communities of congregation points, it's a really smart, efficient way to go about leveraging your time, because you're probably going to have a lot more time than you are going to have money. And when you're just getting started, let's say you're spending 20, 25 hours a week in your job where you're doing home health. Well, you're going to be spending another, honestly, probably 40, 50 hours a week on your business. And that may not necessarily be in an office. That could be messaging people on Instagram. That could be filming content. That could be meeting with different people. That could be going to running groups. That could be doing all kinds of stuff that's going to lead to you being able to get enough patience to where you hit that threshold to be able to go full time. And one of the biggest mistakes we see people make, and this is something that in 2025, I would do this faster, is I would go full time as fast as I possibly could. And a lot of this depends on your family dynamic, your own circumstance, your savings, your spouse if you're married, if you have a family, if you don't have a family. Like you can take a chance on yourself a lot easier if you don't have a lot of other responsibilities and other people that are depending on you, more so than obviously if you have a lot of other stuff going on. So this is very dependent on each person. But no matter what the situation is, time and time again, I see clinicians and they wait too long to be able to go full time. And a lot of it is fear. They don't want to necessarily take their safety blanket away of their W-2, even if they really dislike it. Even if they say like, I don't want to ever do another home health visit again. They like the paycheck from it, and it's stable. And the other thing that happens is they're making really good money for this period of time where they're just like really, really working hard. So let's say you're making $6,000 a month doing home health stuff, and you're making another $10,000 a month in your clinic with minimal overhead, like you're making more money than you probably ever thought you were making as a clinician. When you come out of school and you're making $75,000, $80,000 to be a new grad, right? So you could very well increase your take-home pay by 50% by doing this, but you're working a lot, and it's not sustainable for a very long time, right? But you put yourself in a better cash position, you're able to save a lot of money. Maybe you do this for a few months, awesome. But what I see people do over and over again is they actually do this way too long. And they hold on to this part-time job for months and months, sometimes, a year too long. And they burn themselves out in the process, and they stifle their business. They stifle their clinic's ability to grow. I've even seen people that they had to turn clients away in their cash clinic because they didn't have enough bandwidth to see people fast enough, but wouldn't drop their part-time job, where they're making $50 an hour and they're charging $200 an hour to treat people. The math doesn't make sense, but they're scared, right? So this is something that you got to keep in mind. This is the mindset change that has to happen. If you want to be a business owner, you can't have 1 foot in, 1 foot out for very long. You're going to burn yourself out. You're going to get very tired, but also you're going to govern your business. You're going to slow it down. And as soon as people get the courage to say, okay, I'm going all in, and it's scary. Don't get me wrong. It's super, super scary to do that. Anytime that you're leaving a stable income of some sort and you're moving over to a business that can be erratic, it can feel very scary. And you have one sort of less than average month, or maybe not such a great month, and all of a sudden you start freaking out. You start looking to see if you can get your job back. This is what people typically go through. But new businesses, there's a lot of undulation that occurs in it. It's normal to have a great month followed by not such a great month, and a great month followed by not such a great month. And if you look at it, if you plot it out over the course of a year and you were to average it out, it would be very consistent. But in the short term, it feels like you're on a plane that's hitting terrible turbulence and you're about to puke. It's very terrifying. But if you don't go into your business full time, you slow yourself down so much. And I would go into full-time business for myself as fast as I possibly could. And what I would figure out, and actually, if you want to go through this is a fantastic exercise. If you go to physicaltherapybiz.com and you go to our resources tab, there's a 5-day challenge in here. And the 5-day challenge is literally all about figuring out what your finances are, what your spend is, what you need to make from a business, how many people you need to see, what you need to charge, and then how you're going to get there in a 1-page business plan for you to have a better idea of exactly what you need to do if you're starting a business on your own. This is one of the best resources we've ever put out, and it gives you a really clear idea as to what your spend is, how much money you need to replace, and maybe some things you need to drop along the way and really decrease your burn rate, what you should be charging, and how many visits that actually is. And for a lot of people, this is a lot less than you think, right? Let's say you're single and you need to replace $5,000 a month, right? And let's say that you charge $200, a visit. You need to see 25 visits to equate to $5,000, right? If you're accounting for overhead and stuff like that, you probably need to see 30. That's in a month, right? 30 visits in a month for you to be able to leave a part-time job. Most people can get to that relatively quickly, right? So for you, it's just all about understanding your numbers, all about not letting fear just get in the way, but also having some objective data as to when you should make these decisions. But I can promise you, if you are on the fence, maybe you're listening to this and you're on the fence about going full-time and you have this thing on the side and you're still doing this job that maybe you don't like a whole lot, but it's pretty consistent, you're probably waiting too long. And you're waiting too long because you're scared. You're scared that it might not work and then you have to retreat. But I've never, ever seen somebody go into business full-time for themselves, reclaim the 20, 25 hours a week that they were working on something else. And you got to keep in mind, there's task switching. Task switching occurs every time you do something different mentally, okay? So if I go from working home health, doing everything I need there, documenting everything correctly, following all their processes, their procedures, whatever else, to then all of a sudden I move over to my business and I have to handle all this other stuff, it's mentally exhausting to switch the task in your mind and go back and forth. So it actually drains you quite a lot. It makes you very mentally fatigued. Versus if you just focus on this one thing, not only do you get all the time back, but you stop task switching so much and you start to just focus on your actual business. And that allows you to get a lot more momentum. And if you don't think that if someone gave you an extra 20, 25 hours a week and more mental clarity, that you couldn't improve your business, like you probably shouldn't go into business in the first place, to be honest with you. Like it is a huge advantage when you go all in on your business and all of a sudden you have all this time to really be able to focus on everything you want to be able to do so that you can grow your business. But you got to get over the fear of the hurdle of actually being able to make that work. And financially, that's where a lot of people struggle. So again, head to PTBiz, to physicaltherapybiz.com, take a look at our resources and check out our 5-day challenge. This will get you really clear on what that looks like. So in summary, number one, get involved in a niche. Focus on a niche, be a part of that community. Don't pick a community you think is going to work for you, but you actually don't feel like you want to be a part of, right? Like people can feel that. And they know if you're a runner or you're not a runner. They know if you're a CrossFitter or if you're not a CrossFitter. They know if you're an Olympic lifter or if you're not an Olympic lifter, right? They know these things based on what you say, how you dress. Like it's like you're a part of a cult or you're not part of a cult, right? And you want to be a part of it if you're trying to, build up your reputation in that community. Focus on being very helpful digitally. If there's Facebook groups, if there's congregation points digitally where you can be a subject matter expert, that's a great place to build rapport. Continue to try to focus on building up your ability to educate people in person. So making these connections in your community, being able to teach on different topics can be really helpful for these folks. Leaving a lasting impression in person is huge. From there, get super scrappy digitally. You can do this on Instagram, probably better than most places. We see the most success with people doing this. And be someone that is not just asking for things, but you are promoting other people, you're liking, you're commenting, you're sharing things that other people have, and you're building reciprocity digitally with these folks, as well as you're starting to see who follows these micro-influencers in your niche, in your area, and you're starting to follow them and you're starting to engage with them as well. This is a long strategy. It may not convert in a week, but you start continuing to do this for a month at a time. All of a sudden, you're going to start getting a lot more people that are reaching out to you with questions that can turn into discovery sessions that can turn into new patients, right? Sublease a space for as cheap as you possibly can. If you can do it in an area that is, is a part of your niche, right? So in this example, you work in the running niche, you get a sublease office out of a running store. Awesome. That's a win-win. You're around foot traffic of the kind of people that you want to work with. And they have somebody, that's there that is a subject matter expert within their niche that they know, like, and trust. And then the last thing is let go of that part-time job that you already don't like as fast as you can possibly afford to do so. And don't hold on to your job too long. Huge mistake. We see people make it all the time. You got to understand it's fear. And fear is normal, but there's a difference between fear and danger. Fear is you're scared that you're not going to be able to make your business work. Danger is picking up a rattlesnake, right? These are two different things. This isn't dangerous, but there's fear associated with making the jump to be able to, go all in on your business, and that's normal. But you got to get okay with it because fear is going to be there every time that you make a new change in your business. If you can't deal with the fear of going all into your business, how are you going to deal with the fear of hiring somebody that's depending on you to pay their mortgage? How are you going to deal with the fear of taking out a loan to be able to expand your business that now you have a personal guarantee on for 6 figures worth of additional debt that you now have that you're reinvesting in your business? How are you going to deal with the fear of having tough conversations with people that aren't doing the things that they need to do in your business that you may have to let go? Like these are stepping stones to earn the right to be able to do the harder things in business. And as soon as you realize that and lean into it, the better it's going to be for you to really start to become the business owner that you need to become, in order to go full-time in your business and beyond that, right? So that's the last step and probably the most challenging step we see for most clinicians. So I hope this helps. This year, if you're looking to start a clinic, here's a quick little roadmap of what I would do. You can copy this in any other niche that you see. Stick to this. We see this as a proven blueprint. We can obviously get way more complex in this as you become, a bigger business and have more and more resources and more options. But you got to start somewhere. And this is a very low risk way to actually start a clinic like this that has a very high success rate from what we see as well. And if you want help getting started, head to physicaltherapybiz.com. We have a ton of resources. I've already mentioned the 5-day challenge. You can also get our book. You can also have a conversation with one of our advisors. You can click to jump on a discovery call with one of our advisors who literally talks to clinicians every single day all around the country that are both starting and growing these clinics. And they'd be happy to help you out with the next steps logically of what that looks like as well. So as always, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening, and I'll catch you in the next one.